Maurizio Sarri to replace Antonio Conte at Chelsea. That's what we're talking about now with Craig Burley, because we have to bring him in when it's anything Chelsea. Now, there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding that as well, especially with the different contract clauses.
There's just lots of uncertainty.
Exactly. So let's just get, what in terms of his stats and whatnot, Craig. Is this the kind of man you want at Chelsea? Do you think he'll make a difference?
Look, if we just wrap it up to the biggest club of the lot there, Napoli, what are you going to get? You're going to get a manager whose team like to play open, attacking, good, attractive football. That's what Napoli did under Sarri. Was it successful? No, it wasn't, because ultimately they lost at the end and they blew their chance to Juventus. Now people will say, well, that was Juve and they were strong. I get that, but ultimately they failed to topple Juventus. However, he played some great stuff. Now, the one criticism of some recent Chelsea managers from Abramovich, the owner, has been, I want to see better football. So it could fit the bill in that respect. He has the experience, obviously. I've talked about the type of football. But the whole thing down there at the moment, and also the fact, we talk about these clubs at the moment looking for managers. There's not a whole lot out there of managers. It's a big problem. It's a big problem for Arsenal. They've now got a manager. It's a problem for Chelsea. You've got Real Madrid looking as well, and there will be others. So it's just another thing to throw into the pot at Chelsea at the moment, which has been a little bit buried in the last couple of days, particularly in England. This Chelsea story was buried a little bit because there was the Zidane thing broke and one or two other things. But what's happening at Chelsea, or what's not happening at Chelsea, whatever way you look at it, is big at the moment and a huge concern for fans of the Blues.
Well, speaking of concerns, like you said, no Champions League football now for Chelsea, not qualified in the top four. There's constant chopping and changing of managers, especially at Chelsea, given that we know Roman Abramovich quite well and he's trigger happy. It's nothing new, but do you see this harming Chelsea anymore? Can they go lower than
the chopping and changing of managers is
isn't it?
If you look at it and say, has that been successful for him? Then the answer is yes. Has it been successful for Real Madrid? The answer is yes, obviously to a higher standard. But it has been successful against other models. Now, is it the right way to do it? Probably not. Is it an expensive way to do it? Absolutely. That's not the big issue, the chopping and changing. The big issue here is, one, there's a new stadium on the go that's going to cost a lot of money, so the player recruitment has changed, because they're not spending the kind of money they once used to when they were blowing United and Arsenal and City and Liverpool out the water. He stopped doing that. Now they've put the stadium on hold because there's political issues over his visa, which he seems to be very, and I'm surmising here, it seems to have annoyed Mr. Abramovich, because there's some problems with his British visa and he's gone to Israel and blah, blah, and he may be making some choices out of anger or frustration. And I think Chelsea fans at the moment, there's been talk coming out. I saw one of my old colleagues in England talking about news coming from Russia that he'll cash his chips in. If he's really fed up, he'll just cash his chips in at Chelsea. So this could happen, and I think this has always been... I don't think it will, but it could. And if it does, there are some people saying it could fold like a pack of cards at Chelsea. I mean, I'm not trying to scaremonger here, but there's a one guy bankroll in this club.
Yeah.
And if he goes,
everything could go. Then
big problems ahead. So it all comes down to, I don't know if it's political pressure he's trying to put on or whatever behind the scenes, but clearly if he's got an issue operating in the United Kingdom over a long period of time, he's not going to spend another £1 billion or whatever it is on a stadium, new players and a manager. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, we started talking about a manager, but it
now,
sounds like that's the least of Chelsea's issues right now, according to Craig Burley.